to go.
Cool!
Hey everyone, it's Nux, and today I'm back with another Nintendo update video. It's been a hot minute since I've given my thoughts on current Nintendo happenings, so it's about time I cover various recent things involving Nintendo and breaking down what the path of the company looks like right now. And it's definitely an interesting path, to say the least. It's been about 6 years of being in the Nintendo Switch era, and man, just saying that makes me feel like dust, because it still feels like it was yesterday when the Nintendo Switch launched and the excitement around the system was fresh. This system truly helped Nintendo out of a dark time, and a lot of that is thanks to leftover work from people like Iwata and Reggie, who are no longer with Nintendo. So as we get into these next few years, it is definitely getting to the point where we are going to be moving from the Nintendo Switch to Nintendo's next system. And the discussion and speculation around what the next Nintendo system will be like is ramping up pretty quickly, as the excitement and hype around the Switch is starting to slow down, and realistically, Nintendo cannot rely on the basic Nintendo Switch we've had since 2017 forever. So that's going to be the main theme of today's Nintendo update video. What are my thoughts on this upcoming transition for the Nintendo Switch, and how do I think it should go? To start things off, let's talk about this year, starting with the last Nintendo Direct. When first watching it, I wasn't all too impressed with the Direct, especially since there wasn't really an insane brand new announcement that was exciting in my opinion. But looking back on it, it was far from the worst Nintendo Direct we've had. We finally saw actual gameplay for the long shadow realmed Pikmin 4. And I cannot stress enough how good it is to see that game officially. Pikmin fans were basically starved for almost a decade, and the game is looking to be a worthy follow-up to its sequels. Between new Pikmin types, new mechanics, and the best part, this weird looking good boy right here. I have no complaints in that area, solely because of the dog especially. Advance Wars is finally releasing after getting delayed. We got some cool DLC updates for games like Xenoblade and Splatoon, and with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC update, we finally got confirmation of them adding new characters to the game. Like, oh my god, thank you. If we were going to be stuck with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for more time, I at least wanted some newcomers to help bump up and improve the roster. And it looks like by the end of this DLC, the roster might truly be worth something at last. Really glad to see a character like Birdo back, and I'm hoping for more of the Mario Kart veterans and newcomers who have been trapped in Mario Kart Tour for so long. Characters like Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Kamek, Pauline, and etc. Add any of those guys, and no stupid metal clones or babies, and I am a happy camper. Nintendo Switch Online was finally updated with another system, bringing both Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games, which, once again, it is really freaking annoying that Nintendo takes their sweet time with bringing over all these legacy games. But I'm just glad that they brought Game Boy Advance with Game Boy, instead of making us wait even longer for just that. Game Boy Advance is where you truly start to hit the gold mine of some of Nintendo's best games. And finally having those on Switch, with even online play, adds so much more value to the NSO expansion. So my last, bare minimum hope for NSO is that they build on the library of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. Maybe go back and fill up the other systems with more of those missing iconic games, and that makes legacy content on Switch much more balanced, even if something like the Virtual Console is still better overall. Rest in peace, Wii U and 3DS eShop. Do I think we will get another legacy Nintendo system added to NSO after this? No, because realistically, I just don't see them generously adding one for free almost without a major catch. Like GameCube games? You'll think they'll add those when they can just remaster them and sell them as new games? Absolutely not. And systems like DS, 3DS, or even Wii just wouldn't work due to them being more unique in control scheme. And again, Nintendo could just remaster or remake those games. I guess if we did get one more system, GameCube would be the most likely, unless they did something bizarre like a Virtual Boy or something. But do not expect GameCube to happen without some major catch, like a new NSO tier that doubles in price or something. I'd be shocked to my core if otherwise happens. Now, speaking of GameCube and shocking price stuff, one of the biggest announcements of this Direct was the long-rumored Metroid Prime Remastered, which, despite some worries, seems to be a game that feels like an actual remaster, as the visuals have been touched up a lot, and the game looks pretty great for a Nintendo Switch game. Obviously, it kind of sucks to just get Metroid Prime 1 ported and potentially having to pay for the sequels individually instead of in another collection, but it was helped by Prime Remastered only being $40 instead of $60, which shocked me to my core, because Nintendo could have most certainly gotten away with pricing it at $60, just like they did for Skyward Sword HD and so many other games that were not worth that pricing. So yeah, really uncharacteristic move by modern Nintendo, but I was proud of them for not being scummy for goddamn once. Little did I know what announcement would stealthily follow it though, which leads into the current most anticipated Nintendo game of this year, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Now obviously this was the big highlight of the Direct for people, because we have been waiting for this game for so freaking long now. And while the new trailer for this game showed a bunch of new stuff and cleared a tiny bit more of that mysterious air, it still feels like Nintendo is hiding a lot of this game from us, and it definitely has a lot of fans frustrated. But nothing was more frustrating than Nintendo pulling the ultimate ballsy move of announcing that this game would be the first modern Nintendo game to be priced at $70. And woo man, I don't even have to explain why this was controversial and just a hot mess. So, what are my thoughts on this? And obviously, I have the general thoughts that almost everyone shares in that, yeah, this really sucks. Because Nintendo joining the other companies and charging their games for $70 is so annoying, especially in the Switch era, where it's bad enough how Nintendo prices everything close to $60 and rarely puts it on sale. Nintendo of course defends it by saying that they believe Tears of the Kingdom is worth the price, and that it is only for this one game. But who do they think they're fooling? We all know that they're using their upcoming highly anticipated game to test the $70 waters. And when the game sells like hotcakes and fans get used to it, they will be charging more games for that price, which I cannot stress enough, really sucks. Now, Tears of the Kingdom is a game that can be worth $60 at least, and it will have a lot of content, I'm sure. But part of why Nintendo charging these prices is so ridiculous is because of how the other systems at least somewhat justify their increased prices by being super HD and well-performing games in visuals and frame rate. I love the Nintendo Switch, man, but it is not on par with the performance of those systems. Tears of the Kingdom will look and play great by Switch standards, but it will not stand on par with next-gen games in visuals and performance. And for that reason, Nintendo jumping to the $70 pricing is really dumb on that alone. But it'll especially get worse if they start charging literally every new game that price, even if they aren't worth $60 alone. Like, no one is paying $70 for something like Mario Tennis, or Nintendo Switch Sports 2, or even a lot of the B-tier Nintendo series. At least, I hope not, because that's going to add up and just make gaming on Nintendo really unappealing. So yeah, while I do think Tears of the Kingdom looks great, and I really do want to play it, it costing $70 has put a strong hold on my hype, and I might just wait to buy it when there's some kind of way to get it cheaper physically. And I hope I don't have to do the same more in the future. I guess besides that grim reality, this first half of Nintendo's 2023 looks decent. I mean, the Mario movie is coming up pretty fast, and you all know how hyped I am for that. But in terms of games, there's for sure more that can be done, such as a long overdue update on Metroid Prime 4, or some word on other dormant games that should be announced, like the next mainline Mario. And I want Nintendo to not make the transition to this next Nintendo system feel empty with no games, which is a common worry right now, as the latter half of the year is pretty empty, and there are even strong rumors that Nintendo has nothing really ready for the rest of the year. Now, I don't think we'll have absolutely zero games in late 2023, at least I certainly hope not. But I can understand why folks think so, considering how quiet things will get quickly without updates. After Tears of the Kingdom, in the summer, we really need a direct that'll give us clear updates to Nintendo's rest of the year, and not just them leaving us in the dark like back in the infamous Nintendo NX speculation times. Very dark times. But sadly, even a summer direct is not 100% guaranteed anymore, because we now have instances of them skipping those lately, especially not helped by them not going to E3 again this year. Though to be fair, almost no one is going to E3 now, as it truly feels like a lot of gaming companies are just done with that show. Rest in peace, E3. Your yearly hype events will be sorely missed. But yeah, Nintendo needs to be transparent as we transition into the next system, and not just let the success of the Switch blindly carry them forever. Because if they get too cocky, think that they can do no wrong forever, and not make smart decisions, it will come back to bite them hard. Just like when they went from the Wii to the Wii U. And I don't want to see them fall down that path again. But because of how unpredictable they are, who really knows what their current path is fully. Alright, we're almost done for today's update video. But to close things out, I want to give some final thoughts on the next Nintendo system, and give my own 2 cents on what Nintendo should do to make it succeed, and carry on the Nintendo Switch's strong energy. Firstly, I think this system should be a direct successor to the Nintendo Switch, just like how the SNES followed up on the NES. I want it to be a stronger Switch that just improves on the Nintendo Switch brand as we know it. And while it's possible for Nintendo to be themselves and pull out some crazy new gimmick to try and spice things up, I think that if they try to force in a gimmick that doesn't appeal to people as well as the Switch's gimmick does, then it will bite back at them really badly. So I think they should play it safe, at least for this generation, and build on what the Switch has done. Just obviously give the system a much needed power boost so that it can at least keep up with these other next gen systems a little better. It doesn't need to be 4K 60 FPS levels of perfection, but just a little better than the current Switch performance standard. And to follow up on that Nintendo Switch energy, I think the system also needs backwards compatibility with the base Nintendo Switch games, so that it is more enticing to current Switch owners to upgrade to the next system. If those people have to leave all their games behind, or even worse, have to rebuy them on this new system, I think that is another mistake that will be fatal to this next system. And hopefully Nintendo understands that. But even though I'm pushing for Nintendo to keep a lot of the Switch's setup to be the same, does that mean I want everything to be the same? Absolutely not. As the Switch was far from a perfect system and needs to improve on many things. A big improvement being that I want legacy Nintendo content to be treated better and not be half-baked for almost all of the next system's life. I do not want to deal with Nintendo slowly churning out the same freaking NES, SNES, and other old Nintendo games just to have some illusion of the system getting new games. No, we know what these old games are about by now, so just carry over the lineup of those games directly and do not make us wait months on end for them. Whether that be through NSO or Virtual Console, I almost don't care anymore. It just needs to be done because that act is getting old as hell now. Next, the system needs a lot more quality of life improvements. The biggest immediate examples being stuff like the faulty Joy-Con controllers, the system having no themes, no menu music or cool UI aesthetics, etc. I want this system to work better and feel more alive as a Nintendo system should. And I can't stress enough how we need better controllers, as the Joy-Cons suck in every way and are overpriced. Overall, there's more than a few ways to make the next system better than the current form of the Nintendo Switch, and hopefully Nintendo takes those steps to improve and doesn't just get too big-headed and overly confident. But with that, that is going to be the end of today's video. If you've made it to this point of the video, thank you for watching all the way up until the end. So, what are your thoughts on what Nintendo has done for 2023 thus far? Are you still going to buy Tears of the Kingdom despite the price? And what games are you hoping to see in Nintendo's future? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to it, and follow my additional social media such as my Twitter for more content and updates. This has been 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏, and I'm out. Peace.